All right. It says we are live, so let's start. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Konnichiwa, minasan. Super Kami Guru Arucard Yes, it's Super Kami Guru Alucard. And we are back for another episode of live album discussion. So, we haven't done this for a while, but I haven't released a new album in a while. We just actually released Time Breaker today. So we're going to get into it and start talking about the new album, which I hope everybody will check out. I hope you all like it and should be very promising. Now, one thing I will start off discussing this album and explain is that this was one of the most fun but difficult albums to make. Now, the reason is it was a lot of fun because I really got to get into the J-pop vibe with this album. Like, I sang a lot of songs in Japanese. In fact, I would say there's more Japanese lyrics on this record than any of my other albums, including even Impulse. Like, as we get into it, I will break down each track for track. But yeah, that proved in its own way to be challenging, of course, singing in a different language. But I think the biggest challenge was dealing with the very frustrating producer Daybreak, who did actually produce the instrumental for Timebreaker, the self titled single, which we released recently. And that had an awesome music video that was shot while I was in Japan. And we filmed three different prefectures in it, which were Tokyo, Kyoto, and Osaka, which were, very special prefectures to film in. We got shots in front of the Kinkakuji house. We got footage outside of Kansai Hotel in Osaka, which is where you'll see Jun-san, a friend I met in the smoking area, ironically. He dances in the beginning of that. And sadly, he actually had like a heart attack right after we filmed that music video. Thank God he's okay. He went to the hospital, he recovered. But it's just so crazy the timing of that we literally got that footage right before he had the heart attack and went to the hospital. So I'm glad he's recovered. But yeah, it's just awesome that he got to be in the video. And then yeah, Kinkakuji, those were the Kyoto filmed parts. There were also a few other parts filmed in Kyoto. There's parts where you'll see me walking in train stations that were filmed in Osaka and Tokyo. And when I'm on the train, that's actually coming back from Kyoto, passing through Osaka. So, and of course, there was a lot of footage from Tokyo, which includes the final dance scene with me, Haruna, and her daughter, Mina-chan. Which it's great because even though me and Haruna broke up, a lot of you who are fans probably know her from her appearances on my first four couple albums. But we've actually become like best friends, and in a way, her and her new fiance look at me almost like their adopted son. So it was very nice. When I was in Japan, it's like we were almost a big family. So Time Breaker was really the essence of leading up to this great, wonderful trip to Japan. And what better way to capitalize on that than, of course, filming the music video there, which featured a cameo appearance from Hitomi Shimatani because we got to go see her live in concert for her Heartbeat tour. I got a wonderful t-shirt there. It was a great show because she got two encores, there were games, and she even thanked me in the middle of her live performance in front of everybody. I stood up for it. I was a bit shy and flattered because this is the woman I really love and admire as an artist, so it was amazing. And of course, this album is a lot of songs are dedicated to Hitomi. That's why the album cover is actually a painting of her. So, and I had a Korean Japanese artist paint it for me. So, very cool fact about the album cover, and it really adds that classic artistic vibe to the album with the cover being painted. So, Yeah, one thing that proved to be challenging with Daybreak producing the album is he's very unreliable. He often sleeps in and gets drunk, and he works another job, so he's just all over the place. In fact, the one disappointment I will mention about the album, this is the thing I am most dissatisfied with the record. I love the record. I think it turned out great. It had a lot of great songs. I really think I really took it to the whole Japanese pop level, which I wanted to, and I hadn't done quite as intensely or strongly on previous albums. But there was supposed to be another song done with my friend Reiko of Lolita Dark that we had recorded that he still hasn't sent back to me. He said he was going to send it to me while I was in Japan. I was in Japan from May 12th, yeah, May 12th to June 7th. Then I left. So he had all that time to get it done. And I told him I want it while I'm in Japan. Still hasn't even sent it to me even now. And we are on July 7th. So I'm pissed off at this motherfucker. He is an unreliable drunk goof. And I don't recommend anybody going to him to work with him. Because if you want your shit done by a deadline and people are counting on you, he is the worst person to rely on. And I'm just stating the facts. Like, he could take offense if he watches this all he likes. But you know what? It's true. You fucked me over. You screwed my album. And I will always be dissatisfied that I could not put Stars and Dreams on the record with Reiko because it was intended for the record. Now, whenever the hell he does give it to me, I have to randomly find an album that I can throw it into where it will make sense. Because that was a song that tied into the concept. But the thing is, I've been letting fans know about this album for over a year. People were starting to get impatient. People had expectations. I didn't want to keep fans waiting. I felt bad making fans wait because a lot of people were waiting on this album. So I had to release it. And what better time to release it than today, Tanabata, and also Haruna's birthday. So, omedetou tanjobi gozaimasu. And of course, yeah, hold on, let me take a drag because this is stressful to talk about. I actually had wanted to release the album Music and Life Lessons with the SOS Brigade Quartet last year on Tanabata, but TuneCore delayed it and it didn't end up coming out officially online until later, which pissed me off. So I didn't want to waste any more time because if you leave things to the last minute, sometimes they don't release it on time and it's frustrating. So to prepare it so it could be released on Tanabata, which is what I wanted to do since I have a short film called Tanabata. It's you could check it out on my YouTube. It's kind of a common theme with my music representing Tanabata. So yeah, I wanted to release it on Tanabata. So he screwed me in that sense, and I will be forever pissed off at him for hurting the album. The album could have been better, I feel, in that regard. That if it had that song with Reiko, it would have been that extra icing on the cake and that fire that would have just improved the album to a great extent. As you can see, I have the Hitomi Shimatani poster on the wall, which I'm glad I got because, it was great to get that while I was in Japan. I got a lot of other souvenirs, and I even completed my Hitomi Shimatani collection, having all her albums now. So I'm very happy and excited about that. So, okay, now we will get into the track by track discussion. I'm smoking menthols because as I'm preparing to quit, I'll get used to the minty taste and then, eat peppermints and brush my teeth a lot after I quit. That'll be the plan. Which was cool because Japanese cigarettes are actually really good. I was a very big fan of Seven Stars. I tried Cools for the first time too when I was there, but I really liked the Seven Stars. Both the original and the menthol were great. Unfortunately, they don't sell name brand menthol cigarettes here in Canada. The only place you can get them is on the reserve. So they're like Aboriginal cigarettes. But you know what? They're better because they put less chemicals in them. And, they're still menthol. So they'll help me accomplish my goal in the long run. But the 7-star menthols were the best. And the 7 stars themselves were the best cigarettes I ever smoked. Actually, it was my friend Takumi who picked me up from the airport and dropped me off that got me into them because that's what he smoked. And they definitely were really good. Finish this off and then we'll get into our discussion. All right, so the album Timebreaker clocks in at 48 minutes. It has 12 songs, and it starts off with the title track Timebreaker, which features an intro by my friend Haruka Tanaka, also known as Haruka Mate. And she did the intro basically explaining that my power level is over 100 million as far as being like, a powerful rapper, a powerhouse as an artist. And she recorded a song with me while I was in Japan, oddly enough, that will be released on a later album called SKGA Goes to Japan, which I recorded in Japan with lots of volunteer people, kind of like karaoke. They were excited to be on an album. And the cool thing is, some people who rapped on this album couldn't even speak English. So we used katakana, hiragana kind of writing to basically explain what the lyrics were in English, and they rapped them. So there's people rapping in English on my album that can't even speak English. So it's very exciting and cool fact, and very good job. Like, I'm very proud of them. I don't say that to make fun of them. I say it's actually so impressive that they can't speak English yet they're rapping in it. It's a phenomenal ability. So Timebreaker is the one, well, technically the second beat on the record, because if you count the reprise, there's two. That the main instrumental was made by Daybreak, the unreliable producer I mentioned. But he did a good job because he captured the vibe I was going for with the beat. I wanted it to sound like Bardoc's theme, Solid State Scouter, which is a reference to Yellow Magic Orchestra's Solid State Survivor, and they revamped it, and then we revamped it to make it more of a hip hop, J pop kind of track. That's why I sing the chorus half in English, half in Japanese. The first verse, I rap a lot in Japanese with a bit of English, whereas the second two verses are mostly English. So that was cool about that. Of course, it's dedicated to Hitomi Shimatani and captures the Bardock theme, which is prevalent throughout the album, like fighting like Bardock. Seeing the future I want to imagine is a common theme throughout this record, you'll notice. And it's definitely a really solid intro track to the album. And of course, that's why we made that the second single and filmed the music video in Japan. There's actually two versions, which the one version I released while I was in Japan, it had the Filmora logo, which I didn't like, but I didn't have the money at the moment to basically get rid of the logo and pay for the subscription, which that's how they get you, because that program actually sucks, being honest. But once I got back to Canada and I could pay for the full program and remove the logo, I released the version while I was in Canada, hence the Canadian version and the original Japanese version. That was actually Takumi-san's idea, which I think it worked out nicely because the Canadian version has more views, but the original Japanese version has more likes. So they're both, different levels of success in their own way, and I like that. So that starts off the album. That was really good making that track. In fact, there was a Japanese woman from Nepal who actually came with me to the studio when I recorded that and Kaichu Doke. But unfortunately, like, she stayed with me for like a week and I helped her out, and then she completely ignored me after. So it's like she used me. She pretended to like me to have a place to stay, and then she just dipped and never said anything again. So her name was Alicia. So yeah, if you're watching this, you were so cold and rude. Like, way to use somebody to help you and then just drop them flat cold like that. It's terrible. Like, clearly you're not a nice person like I thought you were. So, Anyways, the next track is Boku mo Aishiteru yo, which I had recorded first for this album, and I made the video, and as of now, it is my most popular song of all because it has over 4,100 views. That's why I like to plan a radio and DJ show who says, "Oh, your music's whack, your music's trash, it's garbage." It's like, that's your damn opinion. And straight up, all the other crap they play on that Plan A radio show sucked worse than me. Like, it was pure garbage. I just didn't want to be mean and say it in the comments at the time. But that stuff, it all sounds like they're all just copying Drake and Lil Wayne and Kendrick Lamar and Cardi B and all this whack nonsense and bogusness. And then they called me whack and trash and garbage. And it's like, you know what? That might be their opinion, but I don't believe it's actual fact or accurate, because there's people who don't even like rap, like Mr. McMillan, D-Mac, who produced, he did the mixing for Nail Gun, most of Mahjong Titan, and some of Final Requiem. He doesn't like rap at all. In fact, I will show you him, because he plays in a Scottish folk band. That's him there, right? Actually, really good singer and guitar player and producer, of course. But he doesn't like rap at all. And yet he said, "I don't like rap, but I love your music." And that's why he was willing to record the album and do the mixing for Nail Gun and all the other tracks we did when I went back to the high school. And Haruna, too, who appeared on the album and is a big supporter, she said too, "I'm not interested in other rappers, but I think you are very talented and I love your music. I think it's great." And so does a lot of the people that came and volunteered and supported me while I was in Japan. But don't worry, we're going to keep banging out the hits, and eventually we're going to get one that goes straight to number one and blows people's minds. I'm working on one right now called Mo Mo Mo, which will sample Rebel Yell by Billy Idol. I think that'll be something everybody will relate to, because everybody wants more something. So anyways, back to Boku mo Aishiteru yo. That is dedicated to Hitomi Shimatani, like Timebreaker. And of course, that's a constant theme throughout the album. Now with this song, it's like a punk rock song that was kind of inspired by the soundtrack for Nana, which is a big anime, particularly Anna Tsuchiya's Selfless Love song was an inspiration. And also Hitomi Shimatani's Dragonfly, because it's got more of that classic rock vibe. And there's also a bit of jazz influence in it, hence the saxophone solo. She makes a cameo in that music video, which was the first single released last year. And of course, the song is also a reference to her song Mystic World, because she sings, "I every day I fall in love with you." And like, she sang that in English. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to sing back to her in her own language, which this was the first song I wrote and fully sang in Japanese, which was a challenge, but a very exciting feat for me as an artist to do something different and reach that new level of really tapping into Japanese music, which I love doing. And I think it turned out wonderful. So Boku mo Aishiteru yo is my response to, like, I love you too, because that's what Boku mo Aishiteru yo means in English translator from Japanese. So yeah, it's got that punk rock jazz vibe to it, mixed with J-pop, and of course it's my biggest hit. Y'all love it. Thanks for all the support. I hope y'all will keep listening to it, and let's get that video climbed from 4,100 plus views all the way to 5,000, and then next 10,000, and let's just keep it going. Don't stop, people. Keep supporting it. So that was a great song for the album. And then next we have the song, because that one, Boku mo Aishiteru yo, was produced by myself, the instrumental. This next one, and most of the album, was produced by Tone Jones, who did all the beats for Nail Gun. So For Hitomi-chan features Vlad the Impaler, and is talking about like who I do it for. Like, I do it for my family, I do it for my friends, I do it for my supporters, I do it for Hitomi-chan most of all. So, that's a song that really cements the concept of the album, that it's for Hitomi Shimatani. And it's a very high energy, almost live rapped kind of song, but very good. It's simple, it's catchy, it's got a great energy to it. Of course, Vlad drops that Romanian style with some tight lyrics at the end to take it home. And I also mix like quite a bit of like Japanese metaphors and lyrics into that song too, to give it that vibe, which it has a very distinct sound to it. I think it's a really interesting, unique song. And plus, it's another example of my unconditional and undying love for Hitomi Shimatani. So, fourth track now we have is Kaichu Doke, which was also produced by Tone Jones. The intro on the saxophone, of course, played by yours truly. And that song features me singing the chorus half in English, half in Japanese, the verses all in Japanese, and then the final rap verse in English. So Kaichu Doke translates from Japanese to English as pocket watch. So it's the idea of Card Captor Sakura Clear Card, where there's Unity Kaito, who I reference in the rap verse. He has this pocket watch that he can turn back time. So it's like the idea of going back to the old school era. I'm turning back time, which you see that with the next song that follows, titled Maki Modoshi Jikan, like the idea of taking it back, mixing that 80s Japanese pop, city pop, into like a more modern hip hop style. And all of these other influences too. But Kaichu Doke is actually one of my favorite songs on the record. It's one of the songs that I think was handled best. Now, with For Hitomi-chan, I did the mixing and mastering of that myself, whereas Timebreaker, Boku mo Aishiteru yo, and Kaichu Doke were mixed and mastered by Daybreak. So, and then with the next song, which I was already mentioning, track number 5, Maki Modoshi Jikan, which translates to Rewinding Time, features a verse by Little Buckingham. I'm rapping in Japanese, singing the chorus in Japanese, and it's got a very surreal, like almost illusionary effect of sounding like time is reversing and moving backwards. Hence, it ties into the previous song, Pocket Watch, like the pocket watch, and then it's rewinding time. So that's a very distinct song, especially because Little Buckingham raps in English in the beginning, then I rap in Japanese to bring it home. I also give shout outs to many supporters like James and Emily and all the people of Risho Kosakai, because I recently had become a Risho Kosakai Buddhist. In fact, when I was in Japan, I got to go see the headquarters, which was awesome because they gave me VIP treatment with a tour guide from me, Haruna, Saito-san, and Takashi-san. So we all went on this tour. We got to see the founder of Risho Kosakai's museum, and I was really amazed with his hard work and dedication, writing out the Lotus Sutra in Japanese characters with like an ink quill and a pen, like back in the day. Like this man was super dedicated, and I do that with my lyrics, rewriting them many times, sometimes to get them right. So I was really impressed by the dedication. And then seeing how happy he was and how he was always smiling, that was just touching. As we watched the music video, I was very moved by him. So yeah, that's why I gave James and Emily are two of my best friends and big supporters in the Risho Kosakai community. So I gave them shout outs along with Hitomi Shimatani, Minori Chihara, which I actually dedicated an entire song to on this record. We'll get to that later. And yeah, everybody else who's still supporting Super Kami Guru Alucard. But yeah, it's a very dreamy, illusionist, kind of rewinding time kind of vibe to the song. And it's very distinct, it's unique, but it really ties in wonderfully to the previous song, Pocket Watch, once you notice that Kaito Unity Kaito's pocket watch can rewind time. So that's the idea behind that. And then next we get into Brand New Mystic, which this is a song I mostly sing in Japanese. I do rap a little bit in English near the end, and there's a sax solo. And the great thing about this song is that's another song inspired by Hitomi, because she has her song Mystic World. So brand new Mystic, because she also has a song called Brand New Dream or Brand New Day. I actually should look that up so I'm not misquoting that. But let's see. We'll go to artist quickly just so I don't get this wrong. I want to quote this accurately. Yeah, Brand New Dream. So the combination of Brand New Dream and Mystic World makes Brand New Mystic, which I think is a very good song. And I really love that song because it has a unique mystical vibe about it, but it also has this positive, optimistic vibe too. Especially with the way I sing the chorus and I sing the bridge, and like describing myself as being like the brand new mystic, which the whole idea of mysticism ties into my big appreciation, love, and respect for um new thought teacher and mystic Neville Goddard. So that's another idea behind that too that inspires it. And then next we have Don't Throw Off My Groove, which was technically the last song I recorded for the album. And that was because Daybreak didn't give me Stars and Dreams in time, and I needed a replacement song to round it off to an even 12, and I needed a guest rapper. So Retrospect came and did his verse, and he actually did phenomenal. It's like one of Retrospect's best verse. So if you haven't checked that song out, check it out. Check out my man Retrospect. He killing it on that track. Like he went hard. He dropped some sick lyrics, and the intro was actually lyrics he wrote and came up with by himself. So he came up with that intro. I was like, yo, that's it. That's the intro. We're using that. That's perfect. So he did that, and then I helped him write the verse. He rapped the verse. It sounded sick. And then I did my chorus and my verse before him because I actually lost contact with my grandfather, and he might have passed away. I don't know, but I've already lost one grandfather, so I was sad. And I was tired of trains coming by and people making noise outside my room and dogs barking and all these things, like throwing off my groove when I'm trying to record and make my music here, right? It gets very frustrating and stressful for me. So it was like, don't throw off my groove. I don't show up at your job and disrupt your work, so don't do that to me. You know what I'm saying? That's where the idea of the song came. And actually, when he was recording his verse, oddly enough, he witnessed exactly what I was talking about, because a train came and literally delayed him from finishing half his verse for like a half an hour. So it really sucked. We had to wait on him, right? But once the train left, he got his verse done. I did the mixing, the mastering. That's another beat I actually made myself. The previous beats, Brand New Mystic, Maki Modoshi Jikan, and as I said too, Kaichu Doke, were Tone Jones from the Nail Gun album, right? And many other songs. He's been producing since my first album, so he always hooks me up with good beat deals. He's given me beats for free before, so Tone Jones is a very good constant collaborator. Speak of the devil, there's a train coming, so I apologize if it's very loud. I'll try to talk loud enough that you could still hear me over this pain in the ass train that's coming, which frustrates the shit out of me, especially when I'm trying to record, as you could imagine, because you really can't record with this loud fucking hunk of junk cruising down the tracks. And here's the thing, you know what is such a fucking pain in the ass about this shit? It does not have a consistent schedule. There's no 9 to 5 for these fucking assholes working in the train. They don't have a job. They just show up whenever the fuck they want. Sometimes they'll show up at this time. Sometimes they'll show up at 4 in the morning. Sometimes 6 in the morning. Sometimes 12 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. Like, they're random. It's like, pick a fucking schedule and stick to it. Because if I knew when the hell you people were coming, I could at least work around your bullshit. That's what's irritating about it. It's like, why the fuck can't the company design a consistent schedule for these motherfuckers so people could be aware if they don't like the noise or they need to do stuff that requires silence, that we could at least work and do our thing. And, you know, so many people have complained about these assholes and they don't do anything. Like, honestly, somebody should sue this company. Like, I hope something terrible happens where it brings about a lawsuit on this company and they're forced to close down their entire operation because they fucking deserve it. They're jerks. They literally scared the fuck out of two of my previous dogs. They wouldn't even want to go outside when the train was outside because it's so loud and it hurts their ears. So it's like, yeah, they're a bunch of dicks. They're jerks. And they should go fuck themselves, honestly. Sorry, but yeah, they really pissed me off. In fact, even just dealing with that train coming by and talk about it makes me want to smoke again. That's how irritating it is. But anyways, back to Don't Throw Off My Groove. Now, as I said, I made the beat, and there was another idea from the movie Emperor's New Groove that inspired the outro. I used a little sample at the end because Emperor Cusco is like singing and dancing and all in his groove, and somebody bumps into him and throws off his groove, and he's like, you threw off my groove. And then one of the guards comes up and he's like, I'm sorry, sir, you thrown off the Emperor's groove. And then he throws him out the window and he's like, sorry. So I use that because I'm like, that's perfect, man. That's what I want to do when people are throwing off my groove, man. I want to throw them out a window. Like, stop throwing off my groove. I don't like it. Don't throw off my groove. So that song was inspired from real life events, like the end last minute. Like I said, that's because Daybreak was a dick, couldn't give me my fucking Stars and Dreams song with Reiko on time, so I had to find a last minute replacement, which turned out pretty good. But that's why that happened, in case anybody's wondering. So the next song is, as I was talking a bit about earlier, Minori Chihara no Uta. Sorry for the loud screeching. I apologize. It's like they just love to show up when I'm doing my work. But anyways, this is another beat produced by Tone Jones. And with this one, it's a song entirely dedicated to Minori Chihara, the Japanese pop singer, because she always hearts my comments on YouTube. And the great thing about her is she's really sweet and kind and friendly to her fans. It's great. So, you know, I'd consider her like a good friend because she's so nice and kind, even to, her fans and supporters. So I dedicated the song to her. I sang the chorus in Japanese. I rapped the first two verses mostly in Japanese. And then the last verse is an English verse, which just basically rounds off the song and ties it together. It's got a really old school, funky kind of beat to it, which I like. And that's why I dedicated that song to her too, is because it suits some of the elements of her music, which I really love. Songs like Final Moratorium and Endless Oblivion, Precious One, Cynthia. There's a bunch. But anyways, yeah, I'm a big fan and lover of Minori Chihara's music. She also played one of my favorite anime characters' voices in the anime, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. And whoever was watching and tuned out, thanks. Really appreciate that when you just leave right in the middle of my sentence. Like, so polite and nice. But anyways, whatever. That's how people are nowadays. I found that people were a lot more polite, respectful, and kind in Japan, which now that I'm back in Canada, I really hate dealing with all these rude, disrespectful people. But that's life. But the good thing is I'm hopefully going to be able to return next year to Japan, and I look forward to it because everything is better there, and it's just a wonderful place to be. In fact, even my mental disorders and my state of mind were a lot more at peace when I was in Japan. So, yeah. Moving on, because that was track number 8, we get into track number 9, The Power of Awareness, which features rapper The Nine on it. Another one of my alter egos who adds a very good verse. Power of Awareness, the title comes from a Neville Goddard book, and it's talking about the more we become aware of things spiritually and intellectually, the more we can shape the world around us to what we want it to be, make it conform to our will in a sense. So it's a very, if you know Neville Goddard and you know his classic book, Power of Awareness, it's a very self-explanatory song in that regard, but it's very good. The beat was another one produced by Tone Jones. I think it's got a very upbeat, friendly, and mysterious kind of unique nature to it, which I really like that about Power of Awareness. Plus, it's got like some deep, almost Roger Troutman kind of singing to the chorus lyrics and the bridge. In fact, the bridge, I actually am very proud because I felt like I sang those lyrics very beautifully, like especially with using the auto tune to the best of its ability. Now, I wouldn't say I'm fully against auto tune. I'm not like the greatest advocate for it, but I do use it. And I do use it in the sense I want to sound good when I'm singing on some songs because that's what Japanese pop singers would do. And that's why my music is a mix of Japanese pop. So if I can sound good singing on songs that aren't really jazz, rock, or blues natured, which I could sing better, then I would use the autotune for songs that are outside of that comfortable element for my singing voice. Because I naturally have like a jazzy style singing voice. So yeah, that's Power of Awareness. Very upbeat song. I definitely would recommend it to anybody who's a fan of Neville Goddard. And then next we get into the song Koi Shiteru, which is another one I wrote and fully sang in Japanese. It's a very beautiful, almost Japanese pop R&B kind of sounding song. There's a nice jazzy saxophone solo near the end. And I really like that one because it's just a very beautiful song. Like the idea of falling in love, the concept, the beat, the way I'm singing the lyrics fully in Japanese to that song. I'm very proud of it. I actually consider it one of my favorite and best songs I've ever made. So, Koi Shiteru, of course, is, it's a really good song as we get near the end of the record, especially because that's another one Daybreak did mix and master himself. He also did, of course, Minori Chihara no Uta, which is like, basically the ones that he mixed and mastered are Timebreaker, Bokumo Aishiteru Yo, For Tomi-chan was me, Kaichu Doke was him, Maki Modoshi Jikan me, Brand New Mystic me, Don't Throw Off My Groove me, Minori Chihara no Uta him, Power of Awareness me, Koishiteru him, and then the next song, track number 11, our penultimate song, him as well. And that was all the ones he did. Now, track number 11 is probably the perfect penultimate song to end the album on. Like, as far as full songs, this is the perfect ender. Law of Assumption, of course, it ties into Neville Goddard's main key principle, which was a common theme throughout this album. And the law of assumption is like assuming things are real until they become real, following your dreams, believing in them, and having faith in them, even if you can't see the results right away. Now, the song was done with Olga Chung, who was a frequent collaborator on such songs as Genai from my first album, Impulse, Still Daydreaming from Nail Gun, Life is Wonderful from Mahjong Titan, SOS from Final Requiem, Where Are We At, which was the most popular song from the SOS Brigade Quartet's debut album, and of course, this track as well, which makes 6 collaborations in total, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, she did that song. It turned out really wonderful. And she wrote the lyrics for the chorus and the bridge. She sang them beautifully around the concept that I had. And of course, I start off the rap with like, I'm the Neville Goddard of rap. Like, I'm like Neville Goddard, but as a rapper, like promoting this mysticism and the power of assuming and believing things. Like, that's a very big key factor in this. And it's cool too, because there's also elements of it tying into Buddhism, which he mentions in his very first book. I believe it's called Awakened Imagination. Let me just check that so I'm not misquoting myself here. Yeah, Awakened Imagination. He actually talks about being a living Buddha. So in the beginning of the song, we have me chanting Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, which is like the Risho Kosakai Buddhist chant. And being mindful in that sense, starting off the song on a calm, positive nature. And then I even used a little sound effect of Ruby from Dark Cloud, because she's the bae, the waifu of Dark Cloud. She saved my butt, and she's the reason I was able to beat the game. Unfortunately, my memory card glitched out, so now I got to beat the whole game over again. But once I get Ruby, I'll be unstoppable, and I'll just level her up and make her a boss again. But because of her, I was able to beat the game for the first time after 18 years. So that's why I've showed it before in a little short video, but I'll show you all again. That's Ruby, as you could see. And it's actually a custom-made action statue, because there isn't one in existence. So it's one of a kind. But I had it made with a designer. I co-designed it with somebody to make it, because it acts as a trophy for beating Dark Cloud, thanks to Ruby being such a boss character and being so powerful. Other characters in the game, they could do like at most 800 something damage, whereas Ruby, her minimum, once you fully upgrade her weapon and level her up max, starts at like 1500. And then like her max is like 3000. So she's just a tank over all the characters with her magical power. So yeah, she's very great in that sense. And that's why I had that made. So in the beginning, after I chant Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, she goes, "Hey," like the sound effect of her from the game. And then Olga starts singing. She does the chorus. I do the verse. She does the chorus in a bridge. I rap another verse. And then after that, I play the sax solo. And that's got a very sad, melancholic, but ominous, and yeah, it's got a cheerful vibe to it too, that like things will get better by assuming and believing in your dreams till you make it real, as Olga sings. And then of course she sings the chorus and the bridge, and we mix and match them together to carry the track home and ride it out. And very beautiful song. In fact, I think it definitely is one of the best songs both of us have ever made, as well as one of the best songs on the album. So definitely check out Law of Assumption. And of course, rounding off Timebreaker is the Timebreaker Jazzy Reprise. Now, with Timebreaker Jazzy Reprise, I actually should have edited that. I don't know why I didn't. But because I just put reprise. But yeah, Timebreaker Jazzy Reprise is basically the instrumental from the opening track changed to a different key that suits the saxophone better. And then I play sort of like an instrumental take on the intro, the chorus, and the first verse with my saxophone. And then it slowly fades out after that. And it's just kind of a jazzy way of bringing the album full circle. We start with Timebreaker, we end with Timebreaker, but in a different regard. But we bring back the whole Timebreaker theme. And Timebreaker was actually Bardock's nickname, hence why I mentioned that Bardock, Goku's father from Dragon Ball Z, actually played an essential role in the concept and the themes and the ideas for this record. So Bardock was also a big influence. Actually, I would say him, Piccolo, Perfect Cell, and Android 16 are my favorite characters from the original DBZ anime. As you could tell, I got a Bardock figure, and I also have a Piccolo action figure. I eventually got to get maybe a bigger Bardock action figure, just because that was kind of small, and then get Android 16 and Perfect Cell. That would be the characters I'd most want to get. But eventually with time I will. Of course, I got a whole almost like a shelf, but it's basically like a step that would lead to a back door of my room, but there's no staircase there, so it's sealed off. So it almost acts like a giant window, but that step there, I've kind of laid it out almost like a shelf to put all my figurines on, including like Japanese souvenirs, the Ruby statue, and of course action figures from my favorite animes. I also have a Yuki Nagato in her witch costume character and a Haruhi Suzumiya action figure. So yeah, as you could tell, big fan of anime. They definitely inspired concepts on the record. So we're nearing the conclusion of this presentation. I hope everybody enjoyed it. As usual, if you would like to support Super Kami Guru Alucard and all my musical endeavors, please check out the songs under the new playlist. Super Kami Guru Alucard and SOS Brigade Quartet, all songs. Near the bottom, Time Breaker is added to it. I did that last night after I shared the release. You can follow me on Facebook under Super Kami Guru Alucard, on Twitter at Alucard Music, which I will put in the chat just so everybody could see how you would get there. And I also in the description put my PayPal link if you would like to donate and support, because it's tough being an independent artist sometimes. You need money to make the music and put it out there. But I'm starting to make more money from it, so that's good. But got to keep the support growing. And of course, in the future, when the album links do become available on iTunes and Apple Music, I will post them in the comments of this video. As of yet, because it's fresh released today, they don't have the links for Apple and iTunes Music yet. But when they give them to me, I will definitely post them in the comments for everybody. And of course, please like, share, and subscribe. That helps a lot. Definitely share the songs with other people. Get them into the Super Kami Guru Alucard vibe, coming with a different sound, Japanese pop, hip hop, and jazz all mixed into one. So that helps, subscribe, share the channel, like the videos. That's always good because it encourages more people to check them out when you do. And I appreciate all the support. So till next time, this has been Super Kami Guru Alucard. And in case anybody was wondering about the live Clo card readings, the good news is next Tuesday I'm going to bring it back for another season. It's been a while. I had a bit of a hiatus, but I kind of feel like doing it again and seeing if people want their fortunes told. So tune in Tuesday at 8 o'clock and we will do a live Clo card reading. We will read a bit of Neville Goddard and we will discuss all the latest developments. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. I know some people really liked the live Clo card readings before. So if y'all miss it and y'all like it, definitely come check it out when it comes back on next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Till then, Super Kami Guru Alucard, peace out. Oyasumi nasai, matane, domo arigatou gozaimasu minasan. Peace.